And welcome to Affiliate Spotlight on LPTV, Libertarian Party Television, a production of the Libertarian Party. Whitney Bilyeu serving as chair. And of course, the Libertarian Party Affiliate Support Committee, Valerie Sarwak serving as chair. As always, John Gapso is on the big board tonight. I would be remiss if I didn't thank the LNC at this weekend's meeting for giving John Gapso the round of applause that he deserves a couple of nights a week, filling in his professional capacity after a full and rewarding day in the employ of a major transportation company. And he's, of course, the one who adds the fun graphics, the TV ads, the commercials, the newspaper articles, the pictures that livens up a production and makes it so entertaining. We're beginning a new campaign season. It really officially kicks off tonight. Now, if you listen to any of the shows on LPTV, we always stress that start that campaign early and often, vote early and often, begin it as often as possible. But for the American media and the American voting public, really tomorrow morning kicks off the 2021 campaign season, and many would argue kicks off the 2022 midterm elections that occur around the fruited plain at virtually every level, from the federal down to, as we love to say, that town auditor position that populates most of the burgs, villages, and shires of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And with that in mind, we're going to step it up here on Monday and Friday nights. If you have an affiliate and you would like to have us promote either a fundraising drive or particularly a special event, we want you to send us the information. Pat Ford, I'm everywhere. You can put it to the Region 8 Facebook page. Pat Ford, friend me, like me, throw stones at me, send it to me in instant message. A number of places. I'm pretty much everywhere on social media. Let us know so that we can give national voice, not only to promote the event and encourage attendance from people who might find themselves in town, and you never know, but also to give folks a flavor of what your affiliate is doing to raise money, promote voter awareness on an issue, promote a candidate, of course. Any one of a number of the reasons why Libertarian affiliates work so hard to have these events. We started doing this with the Alaskan Gold Rush, and it was a phenomenal success. So please let us know. And of course, in that spirit, Liz Terwilliger, who is the congressional candidate from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, is joining us tonight. She's going to tell us about an event that's happening just in a few weeks, and it's called Perspective on Freedom. Liz, thanks for joining us tonight, and give us the full lowdown.
Sure. Perspectives on Freedom is an issues-based discussion event. So we have a whole lot of different topics, and the idea is that the sessions are supposed to be discussions. So we have moderators, and some of them you may know, like Tasha and her lovely husband, and the Sarwarks are going to be there as well. And I think Pat Ford might be making an appearance on Sunday.
Yep, absolutely.
But we have this broad spectrum of topics, and each session is supposed to be a discussion. So the moderators will start the conversation, and then it'll open up, hopefully, if all goes well, to a civil conversation on the topic. Some of the topics we have: parents' rights and education, reimagining welfare, criminal justice reform, the role of the military, faith and freedom. We're covering the gamut. We have demilitarizing the police. We have an affiliate leadership forum and candidates in the media, which is going to be a little less formal, in the evening on Saturday. Decriminalizing addiction and environmentalism. And then, of course, you have to have a two-way session. So we have Spike Cohen and Steve Sheets leading the discussion on looking past the gun when looking at violence in this country. So we have a full weekend of discussion. It's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to it.
No, these sessions, the breakout sessions, look amazing, and all credit to you. I know that you've been spearheading this along with some. I don't know, you're running for Congress or something at the same time. Holy cow!
My election's not till next year. It's fine.
You got time, but you know what? Rhode Island did one of these a couple of years ago where I live, and we call it the Liberty Forum, and they're amazing events because you're bringing together some of the brightest minds of the Liberty movement. Of course, we're talking about Mrs. Cohen, and her assistant will be there. And at the same time, it's in a fun, relaxed environment. People are able to knock heads and exchange ideas. And just as importantly, you get an opportunity to meet some of the folks that you've interacted with on social media, that you might have heard on this show, you might have seen on other forums on LPTV, you might have admired some of their candidates from afar. There's going to be one of my favorite subjects, obviously, is the Milton maneuver. I spend a lot of time on it this show because I think it's an outstanding example of the work that a state affiliate can do in cooperation with local candidates to prime them and give them an environment with which to succeed, and at the same time raise the party's profile exponentially across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So it's fun, it's educational, and it's been a challenging year. Let's be honest. It was a challenging weekend. One of the most difficult conversations I've had to be part of in my entire political career. So it's time now to look forward. It's time now to embrace everything that the party is doing to again raise the level of success and to give folks an environment with which not only they and their ideas can prosper, but ultimately we can get close to that challenging goal, which of course is full freedom, full liberty in our lifetime. So I'm sorry, go ahead, Liz.
No, I was just going to say, we made a point of reaching out to non-libertarians to participate in this event because we wanted to have a broader, more perspectives on the topics. So we have a Green Party candidate who's coming in to talk on, to moderate the conversation on the environment. And then we have the Democratic chair of Snyder County is joining the welfare reform conversation. So I really feel strongly that we as libertarians need to talk about issues more because we see things from different points of view. And I mean, obviously we all have the same goal, but we come at it from different perspectives. And I think if we can just have a civil conversation, that we can move forward much more quickly. And if we can bring in people who aren't libertarians to the conversation, we can show them that we are not crazy people. Well, not all of us. And that our perspectives are foundational American principles.
And just as importantly, these issues reflect the challenges Americans are facing right now.
Right.
If you're old enough and you remember back to the Clinton campaign, the infamous war room, and you've heard me say this again and again, they're saying in big, bold letters, folks saw every day, the minute they reported for work, was it's the economy, stupid. Well, right now you could have a discussion about what those issues are, but just to throw out a few, it's the educational system, stupid. It's COVID, stupid. It's the economy, stupid. It's the endless wars, stupid. Those are the issues that are really hitting people at their kitchen tables. Those are the issues that people are changing the channel on the major networks now because they just can't stand the hype and the nonsense. Those are the areas that Americans are folks from around the world are looking for answers. And I will always contend that those answers can be maintained in our statement of philosophy, that they can be found in our platform. But Liz, the beauty of your event and a number of the events that are starting to bubble up is that you're taking those two items, our platform and our statement of principles, and you're applying it to issues that matter to folks who may not be so concerned with Austrian economics as we are, or may not be that concerned about the endless political debates that sometimes tie us up in knots. Right. People are scared. They're looking for leadership. They're looking for answers. And like I always say, we've got one thing in our favor, Liz. You know what that is?
What's that?
We're right.
So you know what else? People are looking for a little stress release. So I have to say, Friday night are the before party instead of the after party. We're going to have a before party. We're having a smash for charity with Spike and Tasha Cohen. And this is going to be a really good time. It's a mixer from 5:30 to 10. And then you can break things for charity with either Spike or with Tasha, or you can sign up to do it with each of them individually, whatever you want to do. One of the libertarians in the Lycoming County Court, which is a smash therapy business. And it is what it sounds like. You go into a room and you break things with a baseball bat. and you don't have to clean it up. So Smash for Charity is an opportunity to go break things with either Spike Cohen or Tasha Cohen and not have to clean it up. So
So my question
yes.
for the ages is, where was this individual and why wasn't he or she in Louisville, Kentucky at about 3:00 Saturday afternoon?
Because she's smart.
That was what we would have called in the military a target-rich environment. That's, and
Right.
I'll just leave it at that. So give us one more shot before we move over to Stephen. Where can folks find the information? Give us the layout on the web. How can they sign up?
So if you go to my website, LizTerwilligerforCongress.org, you can find everything there. At the top of the page or on the drop-down menu, you'll see Perspectives on Freedom. On that page, it has the Smash event and the main event. There's the Smash event right there. You can also find all the social media links and all the other fun things we're doing, like the race to freedom or race for freedom. I can never remember what I called it. That's our attempt to raise a little bit of money to offset the travel expenses for some of our guests. So,
excellent. Well, Liz, again, and to the entire party, congratulations to you and to your folks for putting this together. I'm looking forward to seeing it to you on Sunday. I like it so much. I'm looking forward to it so much. I'm going to be driving all night Saturday to scenic Jersey Shore, Pennsylvania, where it's being held, which also, as I tell you every time we talk about this, was the site of the largest speeding ticket I've ever received in my life, or I say the car I was in ever received in my life. In 1978, it was about $50, which in today's money would be probably about $10,000. But
printing money,
exactly. But again, folks, if you can't make it to this, we're certainly going to do a play-by-play and a rehash on one of the shows following that, as we continue to also follow Liz Terwilliger's congressional campaign. But think about events like this for your affiliate. How can you bring in some of the local folks, build coalitions? How can you incorporate great ideas? What kind of event can you do to bring people together that doesn't necessarily directly mean volunteering for an election? In other words, how can you foster the exchange of ideas in your community? And that's something we're going to talk about a lot this fall. So Liz, thanks for joining us, and we will see you soon.
Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Have fun with Steve.
All right. Joining us right now is our guest of honor. A little bit of feedback. Steve Wahrhaftig is the chair of the Chester County Party of Pennsylvania. Let's play with that little feedback. Steve, can you hear me? And welcome to the show.
Fine, and thank you very much, Pat.
Oh, hang on. We've got some rough sound here. What do you suggest? Okay, I'm going to keep talking while they work up the sound a little bit. There are some other events coming up in the coming months. There are two events, and we'll bring those up a little later on the show, that are going to be coming up in New York. Now, again, if my focus seems northeast centric, I am the, if you will, the alternate to the LNC Region 8. So I try to stay in as close context as possible, and so I'm more sensitive to those events. But again, please send me the events that you're having around the country. People want to know, and it's interesting what the impact of those events can be. It's one doesn't know what event it is that's going to bring someone in who's going to be that next super volunteer or that next candidate. Liberty is sort of a haphazard event, if you will, to spread and to discuss. And we don't know how many times we're missing people out there who simply are looking for someone or some group, organization, cause to put into words that which they've been struggling with. If you're a little older like I am, you grew up in a time which there were tremendous civil liberties. There was, on one hand, a culture that could be highly discriminatory, but on the other hand, there were certain civil liberties that we took, quite frankly, as gospel. The right to bear arms was never challenged. The right to to give a provocative speech was never challenged. It's only lately that quite frankly, that free speech in the last 10 or 15 years has become an issue on college campuses. Certainly not in my generation. We got Stephen back? Excellent. All right, so let's try this one more time through the miracle of IP addresses. Stephen Wahrhaftig is the chair of the Chester County Party, the Libertarian Party of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Stephen, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Pat.
Perfect. So,
by the way, I will be attending the Liz's wonderful Perspectives on Freedom event. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Anytime you can get that many great libertarians into one building, although some might ascribe to it, what do they call it? A single strike theory in the military. So, but a significant number of libertarians whose names you should know, and not to celebrate, if you will, the celebrity aspect of the party, but these are just great people who've done some astonishing things and want to share it with other affiliates, other members, people who are running the party. And by the way, just also as an aside, for folks in Region 8 or close to Region 8, Atlantic City, Columbus Day weekend, there are still some openings for candidate and campaign training. So let me throw that as well. But Steve, let's talk about Chester County, because we met because just past Friday we hosted Beth Ann Roska, who's a candidate for the mayor of West. I call it the township, but Westchester, Pennsylvania, the home of Westchester State University. And we had an amazing conversation. So thank you for connecting me with her. And we're going to be resharing that. We did that on site at the LNG meeting. But we started talking about media and our shared love of earned media, i.e. free media. And we just got to a great conversation. So you're actually the first county affiliate that we're having on Affiliate Spotlight. So talk to us about your organization, the geography, the makeup, its history. I've heard the word jewel of the Pennsylvania Libertarian Party tossed around. Is that true?
That is true. Well, jewel of liberty in Pennsylvania. And I refer to us as the jewel of liberty because it's amusing to do that. And also, whenever we do social media posts and talk about what we're doing, part of the goal is to try to get as many other affiliates to imitate and exceed our efforts. And if we can get everybody up and doing stuff and coming up with better ideas, even better than ours, then that's a big win for us.
And let's reflect for just a moment on the success statewide that Pennsylvania has. And it's one of the reasons why we as a show spend a lot of time there, because there are some great object lessons to be had. Of course, Pennsylvania being the home of the Moulton Maneuver. But in particular, your group seems to be doing an exemplary job of reaching out and getting earned media and developing relationships in the media, as well as inserting themselves in the media. So give us a little background about your approach to the media and what do you think are the leading factors and why is it bearing such fruit?
Okay, I made an adjustment to the mic. Hopefully that's better.
How's that? Oh, okay. We're tech issues. You know, in a sense, in situations like this, technology is such a tease because these type of conversations in this format wouldn't have been possible 7 or 8 years ago. And in a real sense, the features wars that surrounding this type of technology have only grown exponentially since the Rona, if you will, the COVID impacted itself upon us because of, well, quite frankly, the demand for it. On the other hand, we're so close yet so far in terms of some of the production values associated with this. We're not quite TV, we're not quite radio yet, but we're getting there. I'm proud of the way that the libertarians around the country and the individual podcaster working out of his or her garage / bedroom who are generating ideas and reaching out to people locally on up to some of the great national efforts, like Muddy Waters and organizations like that are doing an amazing job of reaching out to people nationally with personalities and candidates like Spike Cohen. So, it's changed our movement forever. It's given us reach that we've never had. And it's allowed us to, on a far more cost-effective basis, spread our ideas, our plans, our projects, and then in a slight way, resources that the duopoly have are astonishing, but in just terms of sheer wealth and money and corporate support and all of that, it's just it's given us at least in something of an even keel, something of an even playing field is probably a better term, for what can be done in terms of getting the word out to folks who may never have come into contact with the Libertarian Party. It's just years ago that we would have had to wait for that one person to move to a community, that one family who came from a libertarian background to enter an election, for people to even become acquainted with that. Certainly, the major media is not interested at all in sharing a lot of information about us. Even when we merit news coverage, the they simply don't feel the need to share their facilities, which is ironic, of course. And obviously, we're kind of working in the background to here get Stephen back on, which is ironic, of course, because when television, for lack of a better term, was invented, and the three great networks, if you will, popped up, implicit in the promise, implicit in the exchange, if you will, was for the use, and some would say the abuse of our airwaves. The quid pro quo, as they say, was supposed to be high quality news coverage so that the average American could become informed. They seem to have forgotten that in the mix, and it's tragic. And they need to be reminded that they don't own the airwaves; they are essentially on long-term loan. I would prefer, quite frankly, to see them have to face some type of review process as to the quality of their news operation, because clearly they are far more interested in pushing either Grey's Anatomy or Young, whatever that show is, from that show. No, not Third Rock from the Sun, but the other one, whatever it is. They're far more interested in promoting that than whatever they can do. We're scratching through some local news here, and just while we try to get Stephen back on the line, just want to show some examples of exactly the type of publication, the type of coverages that folks in Chester County could get. And first of all, Beth Ann Ruska was with us just this past Friday, and there you go. Great photography, liberty over bureaucracy candidates announced across Chester County. Now, yeah, libertarian, here we are in the daily local news, a major newspaper, right atop of the fold, as they say, front row, front page. What do we see? If we can bring that up a little closer, Libertarian Roscoe running for mayor. Again, picture, byline, article, analysis. No curiosity aspect to it. No, what are your chances? No, why are you running? No, an actual news article dedicated to that. Do we, we're still?
How's this?
There we go.
I got a headset on.
Okay, great. Perfect. All right, let's, so again, talk to us about your media operations. I mean, was kind of babbling there, rambling around a little bit just to do what we do, but go ahead.
Thanks, Pat. My background is marketing. So that's what I do. I know how to sell things. And I see selling the cause of liberty as no different than selling any other commodity goods that you have out there. There's a way that you do it, the way that you talk to people. There's a game plan that you put together in order to achieve a specific result. It turns out that our particular affiliate in Chester County has a great number of really smart people in that group who have a lot of views, a lot of interests, very well educated. And so the materials that you see us put out are group efforts. It's never done by one person. It's always shown with lots of sets of eyes. Different members will come up with ideas about what we want to talk about and why, and we'll discuss that and get it out there. And we try to maintain a a rapid cadence, meaning we probably appear in print somewhere between 3 and 4 weeks, every 3 or 4 weeks. We will appear on websites about 50% more frequency, and then we'll have our own blogs that are published on our site and various media, a little more frequency than that. So that would give us about 25 impressions in the newspaper and minimum of 5 outlets. We try to go for eight outlets, and we try to control the days that the media is going to appear, and then a little more often when it's for online only.
How did you foster this relationship? Right now, there are affiliate heads across America who are seeing this for the first time, and they're literally passing out. You know,
I hope they're not passing out.
No. I mean, I get it completely. And to a certain degree, there is an element of what level of local newspapers you have, even to begin with. You know, and you've got to have a local newspaper, because we're talking about newsprint right now, but we're also going to talk about, you know, radio and television and internet. But to a certain degree, you've got to have organizations that are also have the intellectual curiosity and the devotion to their craft to get why you need grassroots political organizations to have a voice in the local paper. But what were some of the steps involved in it? How did you get from point A to where you are right now? Because that seems like it's the secret sauce that people are looking for.
All right, Pat. Good question. So I'll say that number one for us, a good publication spread is 11 or 12 publications. So that would be a minimum of 1 or 2 print, and then the rest would be online. Not our own online, but various sites out there. And there's lots of ways of doing it. I put together a little sheet manual that I share with affiliates so they can see some of the do's or don'ts about how to do things. I'll mention that the most important thing to do is to have a clear goal in mind as to why you want to publish something.
Right.
And I guess everybody will look at that and say, well, that's simple. You know, I have that, but I'm not so sure. For example, there's lots of reasons why somebody or people within an affiliate are attracted to LP. It could be liberty. It could be a single issue that they're worked up about, like guns, candidates, education, drug decriminalization, spending, etc., wars, for example. And so you've got to have a clear goal in mind as to what it is that you want to do. For my group and for myself, what I'm interested in is pretty simple. I want us locally to be freer tomorrow than we were yesterday. Period. Whether that would be talking about a threat of eminent domain or tax increases that are being sneaked up on people, a politician who is doing something that is inappropriate and needs to be called out on it, whatever that is, working on drug decriminalization, etc. You need to have something where you want to move the needle. The reason why I bring that up is because a lot of people are attracted to the LP because they're angry about something or they want to focus on a national scope. So they'll want to talk about Afghanistan and or you know, national tax issues and stuff like that, which are all valuable things to talk about. But that's all you're really doing is just talking to each other about it. If you want to get press, I mean, that kind of press, if you want to talk about Afghanistan, then you need to target the New York Times, which may or may not really make any sense for your particular affiliate. Your county cares about your county. The people who are in your county care about that. To me, one of the most important things that we as libertarians can do is improve our credibility. raise our visibility, and show people that we have great ideas and that the readers probably already agree with most of our ideas. They just don't know it. Rather than appear to be the kind of characters that we're often portrayed in by the media.
Let's focus on your county then. In Chester County, what are those issues that people obsess about, and how did you develop the relationships? I want to focus on building relationships as well, because in any great medium, if you will, relationship, what do I mean by that? You've got to deal routinely in a county, in a local affiliate, with a subset of people in the local media who may have been there, in some cases, for generations. That still happens, particularly on radio and local newspapers. There's less of a tendency for that higher turnover that you get with as the Mac papers and USA Today's take over the world. So
that's true.
How did you go about doing that? Because it's my contention, and someone like yourself, let's have a back and forth. Feel free to rebut, but it's my contention that as a grassroots political organization, what you need to do to go to and be taken seriously, and this is unfair. We get that, folks, by the way. In one sense, the world is not full of justice and is not full of Clark Kents looking to dash out of the telephone booth and get a complete perspective on any one issue. We're dealing with human beings, and we're dealing with profit-making businesses, ostensibly. So you have to, as a news creator, you have to build and add value to that newspaper, to that media source, to invest their now increasingly limited, increasingly expensive, increasingly challenged time to cover. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that, Pat. And I would say that while some of the factors that you brought up may appear to be disadvantages, in some respects, they're a surprising advantage. I'll give you an example. That newspaper that you showed us in the very beginning is the largest newspaper in this county. This is one of the largest counties in Pennsylvania, the richest county in Pennsylvania, large college here, etc. Well, sorry, I lost my mic. A newspaper like this in the past had somewhere over 40 reporters working for them. Dave Barry got his start with this newspaper. They currently have, I believe, 3 reporters. I'm not sure if they're all full-time. I could be wrong. Maybe they have a little bit less, a little bit more. But the point is, nationally, everywhere, whether it's an online publication, whether it is a newspaper, these people don't have the ability to generate a lot of news information. And that's why if you look in your local papers, you will see an increasing number of stories that are coming off the AP wire because it's cheap, it's easy, and they don't have anybody to write this stuff. So in that respect, it's even easier to get the attention of an editor. That said, you have to give them material that they think that their readers are going to find, as you said, exciting, interesting, thought-provoking, without being a screed necessarily. So, very often people will send me a submission from other affiliates saying, "What do you think of this or that?" And I'll see stuff in there like, "We demand," right? "We insist." "We can't live with this kind of business." So I'm thinking, okay, so here's an affiliate with 7 members who's going to go to this newspaper and tell the governor that they are going to demand this or that.
Damn it, yes.
Right. And what happens is the results are counterproductive. The results, you either don't get published, you don't get taken seriously, or you are, but it's like, look at these nuts, right? Whereas, I'll give you a couple examples, if I may. We learned that there was a very serious eminent domain grab about to be taking place someplace within at one of the townships. And here is somebody who had The family had moved in, had owned the farm since 1902. They had been in the county since the 1700s, and the land was going to be grabbed. So, So as if you can see here, we start the article by saying, imagine a knock on the door. So we're saying, imagine somebody knocking on your door, telling you that they're here to buy your house, whether you like it or not. They're also going to tell you how much they're going to pay for the house, and they're going to tell you how quickly you got to move out. And you may find that to be an outrageous invasion of your privacy. Well, it's happening all around your county right now. So we wrote this in a manner that was, although we talk a lot about libertarian principles, we believe in this, we believe in that, but mostly we're saying, look, it doesn't matter if you call yourself a libertarian or not, this is wrong. Right. Stealing is wrong, right? Well, more than 40 people in this little township showed up at this meeting screaming about, how dare they do something like this farm, whereas typically 4 people show up to a meeting like that. And that's how you start to move the needle. You do enough of this kind of, do some research. We called up the owner, we asked questions, we got the facts. It was fun. It was journalism, basically. Right. We put something together. This thing wound up on more than 10 websites at the time. Even it wound up on a Philadelphia website, because it was, it's an interesting human interest story, and it's something terrible that's happening. So that's a great example of stuff that's happening right around the corner, happening everywhere. And if you take your time, and if you are very careful on how you write and rewrite your material, and you are polite and you reach the right contact list, eventually you're going to get picked up on. And when you do, when you have 3 or 4 of these things published, they're going to look for it. When they get that email from you and it says, I've got some, our affiliate has something to say, they're going to read it, and your chances of publication are very high. It's gotten so good that we can actually predict which day we can choose to be in the Sunday paper if we wish, in most cases.
Right. And here's what you've accomplished. First of all, most importantly, you've written a compelling story. And in this case, the story is real. This is not fiction. This is not a movie. This is happening very often in these people's neighborhood / county, or just general part of the state. So folks can relate to it, and they'll know some of the names in the story. The next step is it's compelling. People want to read it, and people probably want to read it again. It's no secret that, particularly on the digital version of most community newspapers, if a story is getting multiple clicks and people are rereading it and is sharing it, that the story's going to stay up longer. Pretty simple, which speaks to the importance of the affiliate support of the story, that they share it from the newspaper. Very important point, because you want to drive the quid pro quo here. In a sense, are we playing the game of the duopoly? Yes, we are. They know how to do this really well. But you're offering your support for the newspaper that is in fact supporting and hosting your story. So it's important to go and share it from the original newspaper. Many of these articles, and many of these better community newspapers will have a share function built in within their website. And as a result, it helps the almighty algorithm. And if people are walking away with a sense of identity with the story, they find it compelling and they see it in their community, it takes on a life of its own. Now, to your point, the story, in a sense, the storytelling aspect of it has got to be good. That doesn't mean, however, that you can't make reference on a number of occasions in the story to the affiliate. In this case, the Chester County Libertarian Party affiliate meets Wednesday nights at blah, 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 or can be found online at such and such, had this reaction. Without going overboard, there are ample ways to plug a connection, which is, in a sense, and we call this earned media, a free. Did I mention, by the way, free? Did I mention that how much comes out of the campaign's budget? Nothing. How much do the affiliate have to take away from, say, ballot access budget? Nothing. It's free. And at the same time, because it's appearing as journalism, people will embrace it because it's not an ad. And that, I think, is one of the critical distinctions, isn't it? It's not seen as an advertisement or a shill or a pitch or a grift. How important, from your perspective as a professional marketer, is that?
Well, I think it's important that nobody likes being sold to, even though you are doing that. So, as an example, I tell affiliates that whatever you publish, at the end of everything that you do, there needs to be a brief paragraph, just a line or two, that explains who you are, where you are, and how you can be reached. So every time that goes out there, especially if you do it, if you do the versions that are online, most of the time they will include the link. They'll include people can click right through to your email, your website, etc.
Right.
Go ahead.
And I was just say the importance of that is then in so many cases across the country, we're not presented with the type of feature-rich voter data that the duopoly is, particularly where ballot access is in play. But as you pointed out, you are literally handed a manual of exactly what people in your constituency are paying attention to and what is drawing them in the most. Because the next obvious step then, particularly with an article like this, it really speaks to the root of American community. That is government. And now in many cases, it used to be for your school or putting a highway or a rail spur in. Nowadays, government is going in for private development and using all sorts of Carlin-esque euphemism for it, but they're coming in and taking your property so some rich dude who possibly contributes to their candidacy can engage in economic development very often at your expense. And if you touch on an issue like that speaks to the fundamental American notion of fairness, boy, you're reaching out and grabbing them by the heart, aren't you?
Yes. The key really is to know the audience and have a specific goal. So perhaps what you want to do is attract members, or you want to influence public opinion, like the eminent domain, or maybe you want to influence a politician who's running and you want them to talk about something that they're not talking about. Modify or improve perceptions of the Libertarian Party. Perhaps protest a local problem. So any of those things are there. You need to choose one. You can only do one at a time. Can't do all of them. So you need to say, okay, this is what we're going to talk about. Here is the result that we're hoping for. Here's how we're going to get there. Then the next step is, once this is written, follow a couple simple rules, which is to rewrite, make it as succinct as possible. The average American reader likes to read at the 8th grade level. I can tell you this from marketing. It doesn't mean that they can't read at the 12th grade level. It means that they prefer 8th grade level, which is why all quality advertising is written at the 8th grade level. There's an online tool called the HemingwayApp.com. It's free. So anytime you write something, show it, of course, to other people. You need to edit at least twice everything that you write. You need to, by the second rewrite, if you haven't removed 25 to 30% of the words that you originally used, you need to edit it again until you've done that. You need to have other eyeballs on it. It can't be done by one person. And you need to test it and make sure that you're not using extra words and you're not being too verbose. People like you to get to the point. They like it to be interesting. They want to take away something that means something to them. Remember the key thing for marketing, and that is no one cares about you. No one. Nobody cares about you. People only care about themselves. So if you write something that's LP is this, libertarians are that, we're right, everybody wants to be right. Libertarians want to be right. Okay, you're right. It doesn't mean you've convinced anybody that you are. You need to convince them that what you're right about benefits them personally, at home, in your town, in your county, and how your affiliate can help them get there.
talk about, if you will, the process, the actual process of letters to the editors versus, say, op-eds versus paid advertising. I mean, what are the different approaches one takes to both writing and submitting?
There are four major differences, different types of materials. One is an article, another is an op-ed, another is a letter, and then another is a press release. They're all different. They all have different reasons to exist. So the easiest thing to have published is a letter. Op-eds are longer. So a letter is typically 300 words or so, 350 words. Op-eds can go to 500 words at times, sometimes longer. Press releases usually are 1 page in length, and articles can be of much longer length, but they're more rare to have published. So the first thing to do before you prepare anything is to make sure that you have a media list. I understand that a lot of affiliates are in areas where there is not a lot of media. You say, oh well, there's either a tiny newspaper or a penny saver type thing, or there's a paper, but they only care about things that are happening in a given township. There are some that cover many townships or try to cover half of your county, but they're only once a week, so it's hard to get into them. So you have to understand, okay, who is it that you want to be published in? What are they interested in? Who are their readers? What are the kind of things that they normally publish? So you make a list that shows you, as far as print is concerned, this is something that's available. Increasingly, though, there are lots of online publications out there that are even hungrier for information. Mm-hmm. So you can tailor stuff that they're going to publish. Remember, all of these guys want to attract advertising. They all want local restaurants to advertise on their local media sites because we talk about your county. So you need to give them something that is clear, interesting, not offensive, in order to get a press. You also need to know, and this takes a little longer to understand, there are some publications that don't like to receive submissions multiple with others. So there are some that will say, okay, I will print your op-ed, but I want to be the only one who's printing this op-ed. And you find that out just by looking up who the editor is and talking to them about it and submitting stuff to them. And I will tell you that in almost every case, you will get a response and you will start to develop a relationship with them. Mm-hmm. Our media list is about, it's probably about 50, a list of 50 people that we can send stuff to. However, we never send what we do to all 50 because some things are appropriate for this 20, some things are appropriate for that 30, etc. And it's a trial and error thing where you learn what gets press, what interests them. They will sometimes write back to you and say, this is a little long. I think we might be able to use it, but can you give us a shorter version of it? Or can you be clearer on something, etc.? If you begin a dialogue with an editor or a reporter that way, it's a great way to go. Another thing I recommend is that you call up a reporter and invite them to an affiliate meeting. You'd be surprised. I've had some of them show up or say that they want to show up because, hey, I didn't even know there was, you're kidding. There's there really is a libertarian party that's active in this area. Sure. Let's find out what you guys are about.
Talk about press releases for a second. A couple of quick yes and no's, and I think you'll get where I'm going with this. What are the odds of a radio station or a television station showing up to an event with either A, a voicemail, or B, a press release? What is most likely going to generate a positive response?
Well, Okay, so a press release, there's several different kinds of press releases. You know, they can be, hey, we're running somebody for office, etc. But typically, people will want to say that they usually affiliates want to do one of two kinds of press releases. The one kind is we have a volunteer effort, and we are inviting people to participate in that. And the follow-up to that, by the way, is a much more valuable one, in my view, and that is, we did this. Newspapers love that stuff. So if you go, you know, some of the examples that I sent in is we have these pictures of big groups of libertarians who had gone and cleaned up something or did some other quality effort that gets in the press. And that kind of press release always has a photo, because publications love photos. So you give them a photo, you give them a write-up. We did this good thing. And the libertarian portion of that is small. So that's a good example. So here, yeah, we had kids, Boy Scouts were involved, etc. And we spent a lot of time in this piece talking about that camp, because it's a unique camp. They have a unique story. And so we spend time on that because it's a great camp. We want to promote that. So it's not, the libertarian part of it is almost it's almost an afterthought. It's like, well, of course libertarians do that. Of course we do this. You know, this is what we're all about. You do that with a cadence of, every 6 weeks, every 8 weeks. It has an effect on the community. People start to think in a much more positive light about you. The other kind of press release is usually trying to promote an event of some kind. They're harder, to be honest. They're harder to get attention unless it's something that people are very interested in. For example, there's a local music festival. So our affiliate will be there. We'll have a table. We'll have our candidates there, etc. So it's a big enough event that the papers and general media will want to talk about it because they know about it. If it's something that's extremely obscure, you certainly should try, because all it is an effort and some write-ups and an email. But those things are harder to get people's attention on.
Right. But generally speaking, though, if you're holding a press event for a candidate, or if you're holding a press event to announce opposition to some legislation that's pending, if you actually, you're right, they're challenging, and folks need to have relationships in place before they just announce these out of the blue. But in order to get into a news editor's line of sight, if you will, particularly an editor at a local television station or a local radio station, where they're going to actually send someone out to cover it, it's been my long experience that you need to send a press release with all the information, well written, what's going to happen, why you should be there, because you can't bombard them with voicemails. It just gets simply lost in the sauce. Very often coverage comes down to that morning or that evening. The gentleman, the young man or woman who decides where reporters are going, literally to holding a bunch of press releases and saying, okay, this is what's happening in the news cycle. This is what we've got left. You go here, you go here, you go there. If you sent them just a generic email, or you had a conversation with them and you think they're going to remember it, never, ever going to happen. This next question, how important, and you touched on this already, but my experience has been that one of the biggest mistakes a candidate can make in terms of trying to get coverage on an event or their candidacy is to release something out to social media at the same time that you're releasing it to print, news, whatever media. How interested are press people in general in taking the time to read, analyze, mount, put up on the website, whatever, if in fact you've already floated this stuff out there to everybody already? You shared it to the 35 different groups in your town. What are your odds of success then?
Well, Pat, that's a good question too. There is a secret to this. It's a secret to press releases and announcements in general, and that is quotations. All media loves quotations. They love to hear that somebody said this. And virtually every one of our press releases, the press releases that I handle for Liz, always have Liz saying something, or Beth Rosca, our candidate for Westchester mayor, always has her making statements. She said this, she thinks that, she noted that. And the reason why media likes that is, one, it makes it appear a little bit like they did an interview, whereas they actually did nothing whatsoever. But they like the fact that this is for them, they're talking to me, that type of thing. Also, it's human interest. To just say we're doing X and then this is going to happen and here's where it's going to be, that's extremely dry. And honestly, even if it gets printed, it's not going to get read. But you will notice that when you scan a newspaper column or you look at something online, when you see a quotation mark appear, your eye goes right to it and you start reading it. People like to read quotations because it's active, there's action, and that honestly is the secret sauce for press releases.
Next quick topic. Following a reporter. My experience has been, and I love your reflection on this, is that, and I'll use one example. There's in the Providence market where I work, there is a gentleman by the name of Dan McGowan, young man, but he started out, interestingly enough, at a local independent online news site. He's a writer's writer, so he's very readable, and he also works. His beat, if you will, is the city of Providence. And listen, if you are involved somehow in the city of Providence politics or whatever, his column is destination reading, and if you're doing the right thing, at least you're doing the wrong thing, you don't want to be anywhere near it because he'll find it. But if you're doing the right thing, or if it's interesting, appearing in the column will get an amazing amount of eyes. Now, this gentleman then went to work for a local television station, our Channel 12 here in the Providence market, for what it's worth. Did a great job. Then got picked up by the Boston Globe, and he was one of three people. An entire edition of the Boston Globe, a Rhode Island, if you will, edition, was generated around. So if you became a trusted or an engaged news source for him 10 years ago at the local independent place, and you did the right thing, in other words, you're interesting to cover, your technical approach to submissions and your work as if you will, as a communications department of a libertarian affiliate is on target, then guess what? All of a sudden you're getting quotes in the Boston Globe. Holy cow. That also incorporates the notion that you pointed out so ably, that there are news sources, particularly independent publications, I work at one, that are constantly looking for material. Because again, it's all about the clicks. It's all about generating as many eyes as you can in a given day on your website. So when you look at this entire picture that you've crafted so well, how important is it, again, as we started out, to build relationships? Ultimately, isn't that your objective, part and parcel, as it is understanding what your end goal needs to be?
Building relationships is very important and valuable. It can work against you occasionally, because if somebody winds up quitting the publication or going to moving to San Francisco, that may work against you. So in that case, even if you have a good relationship with a reporter, make sure you also have a relationship with the editor. Case in point, when you have a news piece, you have a news article, that always goes to that reporter that you know. But when you have a press release, you do not send that only to the reporter. You must send it to the editor. You can copy the reporter, but that's protocol. And you don't want a reporter to love you and the editor that he works for doesn't. So you want to make sure that you maintain a good relationship with them overall. And you want to be local.
I would just say, typically though, there is and this is important, there is, in your press list, you have to develop there are typically dedicated email addresses these days. It used to be a fax machine, right? There are dedicated email addresses specifically for press releases, aren't there?
There are, and I would also like to mention that do not ignore the tertiary outlets in your area. No matter where you are, I guarantee you that there is probably a next door type of system. There's Patch probably exists in your area, and there are others like that who, believe me, they will publish pretty much anything that you send them, and you will be surprised how often that stuff gets picked up. Because so many sites out there do not generate any content. All they do is do searches. And if they search and find that there's something happening with the right keywords and happening in the right place, that stuff gets picked up. And very often, I should also mention this. You want to test whether or not you are getting picked up and published. Very often, the stuff that Chester County will do is being picked up by publications we never send anything to because it just got fed out there, it just got picked up, etc. So one of these cheap free tools that you can use out there is to go to Google Alerts. If you sign up for Google and key in Google Alerts and put in libertarian, put in the keyword your county or township or wherever you happen to be, and then those alerts will come out every morning. You'll get a copy by usually by noon every day, and it will show you publications that perhaps you weren't even aware of. We were able to enlarge our contact base just because it was like, wait a minute, here are 6 guys that we've never paid attention to, and here they are publishing, regurgitating stuff that we've sent out there. So we put them on the list.
Excellent. Starting to get to the sort of the close here. I have a feeling that you and I could probably go on for hours. There is. Will you be speaking at the Pennsylvania function at?
No. I'm going to help MC, but I think people have heard plenty from me already.
Well,
she's got a great group of people who are going to be talking there. I couldn't hold a candle to any of those folks, but
I'm going to dispute that. What I'm going to say is this: based, we had a nice quick chat the other day, but based on just the beginnings of this conversation here today, the wisdom and the wit and wisdom, if you will, that you offer. In a very practical sense, of course, the implementation is always the challenge, but in a very practical sense, you have given people today a roadmap to just sort of throw off the yoke of your old media prejudices. And by that, I mean, I implore libertarians everywhere, who ever hear this, to stop the anti-media rants, to stop the conspiratorial talk, to stop and this is critical, folks. This should go without saying, but if you're, and I love your reaction to the statements I'm making now, if you're out there insulting your local media, as so many cultural conservatives do, and the occasional libertarian falls prey to, if you're insulting them, I'm not sure what you can expect. Because we're talking about human beings here. We're talking about regular folks just like you and I, who do a hard job, who are exhausted at the end of the day, who don't have enough resources, who wonder if they're ever getting read, and in general have to deal with the loathsome duopoly. How counterproductive is all that nonsense?
Well, I suspect you and everybody knows the answer to that question. I'll just say this. If you and your affiliate are not getting constant, interesting, and mostly positive press, then you are doing something wrong. Because all the press wants to do is get eyeballs and sell ads. That's all they want to do. The days of, the Hearst and Yellow Paper days of newspapers being able to elect somebody are long gone. They're gone generations ago. What they want is they want to sell advertising to restaurants and to car dealers, and they want something from you that will interest their readers and help them sell ads.
Hallelujah. Thank you. Preach.
You're welcome, Pat.
That BC, and I'm just going to say this, having just met you, virtually, if you will, you take that as gospel. And I'm not going to say you take that for granted, and I don't mean that in a pejorative way, but you understand that to be true. I can't tell you how many times I've gone into a group of people to talk about earned media, and they're never going to cover us. Why not? Well, the last time I talked to them about covering us, I ended up telling them, "Oh,
right,
yeah." Hey, listen, I'll just say this. I'll beg libertarian affiliates this. Even if you believe it, if that's part of your DNA, this opposition to the media, then I think the technical term is fake it till you make it. I work in the media during the day. I'm just going to leave it at that. About a week or so ago, I went to a rally, and I'm a former state chair. I didn't run again. Part of the reason was you can't really do both. As much fun as they are, that you can't do both. And I went to a rally, and I had my tripod and my little array of camera phones, and I'm walking into the crowd. I'm about ready to set up. And this is a pro-liberty rally that had to do with medical liberty. And some lady starts screaming at me, "Don't talk to him. Don't trust him. They don't know what they're doing. They're just going to lie about you." I'm like, I started saying, "Lady, you have no idea who I am. I don't care what you're going to tell me." Now, here's the irony. She's holding a sign about medical freedom. And next to the sign, she's holding, the little posts you put into lawn signs. Guess who donated those very posts that were leftovers from the presidential campaign to their group? Now,
Sure.
Is that an admission of conflict of interest? You betcha. But here she is, literally, I had enabled her to have that sign. And she's screaming at me like I'm the person coming in to set them up. Well, ma'am, sorry, you've done a good enough job of your own. But if people think that's going to help, and the reason I'm going on this a little bit, buddy, is that I run into this everywhere in liberty circles. I run into this disgust, distrust, all of that with the media. And at a certain level, when you see some of the games that go on at the national level, I kind of get it. And I love your reflection. My experience with local media people is that for the most part, most of them are hungry, they're aggressive, and you're right. They're under constant pressure to generate content, and they're there to sell newspapers. And anything else, they simply don't have the energy or time for.
Right, Pat. Well, I gave you a little list at the beginning of our conversation of why people may be attracted to the LP, but I did leave something out. Unfortunately, there are several people attracted to the Libertarian Party as a hobby. Mm-hmm. And their hobby is being right. Their hobby is being angry. Their hobby is not listening to anyone else. And not thinking about where maybe we could be wrong on something. And if that's, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone needs a hobby. And if your hobby is to just be right and just be angry and assume that everyone's against you, and that's why you'll never get anywhere, you'll be correct. You are not going to get anywhere, but you will be happy. You'll probably, in this hobby, reduce your anxiety a little bit. You'll take out some of your anger. You won't have to go up and be with Liz and smash dishes, which is a better way of doing it. So look, if that is your goal, if the goal is to just be right, they should have listened to me and not gone to Afghanistan. They should never have done this. That's fine. That's okay. You just have to realize that nobody cares about that. Nobody. And that's okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But if you want to sit down and pen something or contact the media and say, I want you to listen to me because I'm right, your results are not going to be that great.
a lot goes back to Larry Sharp's conversation about not having to win an argument, doesn't it? That a lot of times our job is to plant a seed, and nowhere is that truer in your relationship with the media and the information you're trying to disseminate into the media. A thoughtfully, plainly written piece that focuses on your objectives, concerns, that's accessible to people without being angry or bitter, goes a very long way to the real goal, which is to give folks a reason to look into the Libertarian Party's approach to virtually everything. On the other hand, as you pointed out, if you're there to lecture, if you're there for a diatribe, if you're there to beat people over the head, you might win that Facebook argument. And by winning, I mean those people blocked me. I showed them. But you're damn sure not going to get anybody to show up at a rally. You're not going to get people to contribute to your candidates. Most importantly, folks need to remember in all of this is there are a lot more non-libertarians than there are libertarians. And while we can have a "we showed you" moment, ultimately the goal is to earn people's trust and presenting them with a legitimate reason to vote for our candidates. Because without electing our candidates, we cannot affect the change that this nation so desperately needs. And to do so means that there's a level of trust, that they're impressed by our thought process, that they're interested in our solutions. And in doing so, give people, as the Moulton maneuver does, bringing it full circle, as the Moulton maneuver so aptly does, give libertarians that entry-level job in your local government. So we don't use the word govern here, buddy. We use the word steward, so that we can, as libertarians, help to steward community resources so that folks can have all the benefits of a libertarian world. We always end our shows with what we call shameless self-promotion. So, Stephen, I know we focused a lot, almost exclusively on media, as opposed to the normal conversation about the affiliate, whether it be state or, in this first case, a local one. And so I thank you for humoring me on that, because I think you've got so many powerful lessons to share with not just the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, but with libertarians everywhere. And I mean that to the bottom of my heart. If people listen to what you're saying, you could possibly have one of the single biggest sea changes in our fortunes as a party, as a philosophy, as a statement of principles, than virtually just about anything that's going on in the country right now, because it's that important. If we don't get a chance to address people in a mature, responsible manner with our statement of philosophy, our worldview, and our practical solutions to all the ills that bedevil this country right now, yeah, we might get an extra point or two here in the elections, but we're not going to gain the mainstream trust that we need in order to get that shot to make those changes. That's how important the lessons that you are preaching are. But tell folks, though, about your county affiliate, when their meetings are, where they are, and where they can find it on social web. Again, we lovingly call it shameless self-promotion.
Well, people can find us at lpchesco.com, and we have lots and lots of very interesting blogs there that I invite affiliates to take a look at and copy. By the way, very often we'll generate a blog that has gotten a lot of interest, and we'll send it out to other affiliates, and I'll instruct them as to how they can change the language a little bit, change the wording, and just steal it and just put it out. I had one affiliate contact me and go, are you sure you want me to do this? I mean, just take your blog and just publish. Of course, I want everyone across the country, if it's appropriate, to go ahead and do that. We had one blog that got a lot of hits, which was about the current plan of the administration to outlaw, and eventually they are going to be outlawing menthol cigarettes. And that was appropriate for pretty much anyone. That was that one right there. Where there's smoke, there's racism. And they certainly can steal that. But if anybody wants to help us at all, I highly recommend that they go and take a look at Beth Rosica's candidacy for mayor of the county seat of Chester County in Westchester, PA. Her website is Beth Rosica for mayor, and I'll say this: this is a county seat. This is an extreme long shot for a libertarian to win the mayoral position in a town this large. Would get you national press. It would get us national recognition. This is a big deal. She's a real advocate. She is a firecracker. We are so lucky to have a candidate like this out there who is saying the right things and exciting people. And so if you want to see someone who can really win a major position, really win and get national press and help our national voice, that's who to help.
Excellent. You know, she was just on this past Friday. We're going to be doing replays. It was just so impressive. We were on the road. The tech, as always, was a little challenging. And we were broadcasting from directly above the hotel bar at the Brown Hotel in Louisville, Kentucky, with the madness of a fundraiser going on next to us. And she just blew the doors off it. It just absolutely blew the doors off it. And, you know, that's why I always close out by saying there is, despite some of the events this weekend, despite some of the challenges we're facing, when you look at what's happening at the affiliate level, when you come to understand some of the processes and the local expertise that's being brought to bear on highly local issues, where the mantra here is so very often folks meeting Beth Ann are meeting possibly the first libertarian they've ever met in their life, never mind someone who is a contender for high local office. And when you get someone with those talents, and your talents, quite bluntly, brought to bear, the results can be staggering. Regardless of wins or losses, your affiliate is changing people's outlook on issues very central to their existence. We always joke here about how, well, we love Austrian economics, and we certainly love our how many libertarian can you fit on the needle of a pin style conversations. That isn't what the general public is looking for. The general public right now is hurting. They're looking for solutions. They're looking to be led. And when we recognize that we've got that opportunity and we seize on it, as you folks are doing in Chester County, well, it's inspirational. So congratulations to all of you in Pennsylvania, your hard work, and to all the affiliates around the country that are just really carrying the torch. That's the best cliche I can come up with right there. So thank you so very much for joining us on the fly like this tonight.
Thanks, Pat. Happy Labor Day and happy Rosh Hashanah to those who are celebrating a new year.
Absolutely. Folks, wow. Of course, that was Stephen Wahrhaftig. He is the chair of the Chester County in Pennsylvania Libertarian Party. We spoke almost exclusively about the media tonight, and we'll have him on again for sure. That is a voice that I think you're going to start to hear a lot of, particularly as the type of successes they're starting to enjoy in Chester County get the spotlight they deserve. A couple of reminders we put up on the screen tonight. Perspectives on Freedom, Looster Willinger in Pennsylvania. That's coming up. An evening with Larry Sharp. That's going to be held for the LPNY in New York. That's coming up. Listen, there's going to be a full fall of events around this country for the Libertarian Party. You know, you can plan your weekend travel schedule around it. Imagine a road trip for freedom. And these events, if you happen to be in the area and you're not from those, please come, please attend them. You know, I found myself a couple of times this year in communities that I'd never met. I walked into libertarian functions and, you know, there's a brotherhood and sisterhood that takes place at these events where, quite frankly, you could become a celebrity just because you so completely out of context with that particular region. You show up and you've got an instant acceptance. And how much fun is it to meet some of the people that you've met on virtually on social media? How great is it to realize that you are part of something, a movement, a philosophy that is so much bigger than any one of us individually? And of course, that is the quest to take back liberty, to take back freedom. It's positively ennobling. Folks, you have been listening to Affiliate Spotlight on LPTV, Libertarian Party Television, a production of the Libertarian Party. Whitney Bilyeu serving as chair. And of course, the Affiliate Support Committee of the Libertarian Party, Valerie Sarwak as chair. On the big board tonight, bringing you all the pictures, the newspaper articles, is good friend John Gabso, who was given an ovation by the Libertarian National Committee this weekend for coming in a couple of nights a week and just investing hours in this production. To him, I am eternally grateful. Without his efforts, we could not do this. My name is Pat Ford. I'm your host. It continues to be my honor to meet all of you and to provide a forum where some of the real talents, sometimes the quiet talents that we don't know about or know enough about from around this country, whether it be candidates or tonight, affiliate chairs who are doing superb things and delivering a message to a part of the country just outside Philadelphia that quite frankly is as blue and as progressive and as statist as one could ever imagine. To have that type of success and that type of an environment bodes well, not only for all of us, but it also tells us that we are only limited by our own willingness to succeed. Folks, we'll see you Friday night. Have a wonderful week. If you're interested in joining us on the air as a candidate, as an affiliate chair, or if you've just got something you want to say, reach out to me. Pat Ford, well, I'm everywhere. We'll see you soon.